Yeah, so to summarize, I just want to wrap it up in a nutshell. Like, too long didn't read, you know.
Yeah.
Um, I would um, I would suggest that's the word I was looking for. I would suggest that you put a link to the CBMT website and also the Music Therapy Association, United States Music Therapy Association. Um, So for all the people from the US, I would say look into the specific region that you're from and where you plan to work, whatever. There's a music therapy association from the region. There's probably then also a music therapy association from your state. So look into all of those different places and start asking around about resources for the board certificate exam. Figure out exactly what you need to do in your state. In Minnesota, where I'm from, all you need to do is have the board certificate. There's other states where you need to do something more and actually become like a licensed music therapist. So figure out exactly what all of those things are before you really start getting into the school aspect, and ask those questions often and loudly when you're in university, and start talking with all of the other people about it and figuring out who you need to talk to, who you need to email, what kind of lists are out there as far as criteria, and like what all of the domains are that you need to learn about.
It's kind of registration and legal certification thing.
嗨，欢迎大家来到 Zoe 的音乐疗心室，陪你一起学新知、看时事、聊心事。
Hi everyone, welcome back to Zoe's Music Channel. So today I have a special guest here. He's Nate, which is my classmate back to master degree in Heidelberg, which is 2018. Hi Nate, you want to
Hello.
introduce yourself a little bit to the audience here?
All right. Hello, my name is Nate Case, and I come from Minnesota, the northern state in the United States. And yeah, Zoe and I met in 2018 at SRH University here in Heidelberg, Germany. I'm still living in beautiful Heidelberg and working as an Erzieher, a caretaker for kindergarten children, and also a music teacher. So thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. I think this is really cool. Like there are still couples of people stay in Germany, especially you stay in the same city in Heidelberg after graduating, right? That's so cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful here and I like it. So
Yeah.
it's
Would you expect that before the program, that you will stay in Germany, in Heidelberg for having family and establishing your career before starting the master degree?
I certainly was open to it. I didn't have many expectations of what was going to happen. And then, of course, because of the pandemic, everything kind of got crazy and wild. And so that was the moment when I really fell in love with the city. That's when I had an opportunity, during the pandemic, I should say, is when I had a really good opportunity to explore. When our program was done in 2020 in October,
Yeah.
I was scheduled to go back the very next week after our graduation to start an internship, to do a music therapy internship in Minnesota. And because of the pandemic, that internship was postponed an entire year. So I was still offered the internship, but I was given a kind of a free year to stay here in Heidelberg. I could have either went back and tried to find an apartment and a part-time job and figure out something to do in that 10 months, because I was really focused on doing the internship. So I ended up staying here because I had an apartment already, and I found a really part-time job where I was filling COVID test kits with my friends.
Okay,
It was
cool.
crazy.
Yeah, it was a crazy time during the pandemic. Well, I guess my experience was a little bit different because I did the long internship, like 6-month full-time internship before the start of our program. So I did that before 2018. That's time when I was in
Yeah.
the US. Then I went to Germany and started a master degree. And during those 2 years, I passed the CBMT exam in 2019. Yeah,
I remember you did that while we were studying.
exactly, while we were
Yeah.
studying. Although I did several times, I did it 3 or 4 times, and then I finally passed it. And then during the pandemic in 2020, I started to work as a music therapist, like full time. It was a tough job because Corona, the virus was everywhere. And at that time, there is a really great need of worker in the hospital, in the nursing home. So that's the time when I started to work full time as a music therapist until now. So it's tough, yeah, and lots of work during the past 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's crazy, yeah. So I'm just interested about how are my classmates doing, especially I think you are very special as well. You study in Germany, in Heidelberg, and you went back to US to do the internship for 6 months, and then eventually you pass the CBMT exam, right? This is probably the path that lots of people want to do now. So tell us a little bit more about why did you go back to the US and do the internship and the process of studying, taking the exam?
Yeah. Well, I want to start out by saying that none of this was prepared very well on my part. Like the study, the internship, all of this stuff, like I kind of just decided, I'm like, I'm going to do it. And I just did it. And I didn't really think too much about any of it. And so it was very difficult quite often because I was very underprepared. Like I didn't really realize what I was getting myself into. Maybe that helped. I don't know. Maybe it slowed me down a little bit. It certainly was something that I would do differently. If I were to do it all over again, I would probably try to organize myself a little bit better. So maybe this podcast will help people to do that a little bit.
Yeah. Like how to organize? Maybe tell us more. Like how would you change?
Yeah,
reverse.
So the one thing that anyone looking to work in the United States should keep in mind is that you need to be board certified to basically get any music therapy job. There might be a select few jobs out there that are music therapy adjacent, like some sort of but you can't be considered a music therapist. You can't hold that title without the board certification.
Yeah.
And so the first thing that you should do if you want to do what I did, the first thing that I should have done was go to the board certificate, the CBMT, the Certified Board of Music Therapists website, and maybe Zoe, you can post a link to that with this with the podcast. Go to the website and reach out to the international office. They have an international office, and they have a lady who deals with that. I'm not sure what her name is at the moment. Her name was Lynn when I don't know if she's still doing it or not. It's been years since I've had to do any correspondence with her, but there is somebody there that'll answer all your questions and make sure you have a list of everything that you need from the university, so that from day one you have in your mind, like, these are the criteria that I need to meet in order to get this board certificate, because I didn't think about any of that, right? And like it was in the end not a big deal. I crossed all of those small bridges, but it would have been much easier had I known that. Or had I could have easily known that had I paid any attention to that from the beginning. And then the other thing is, we need to have, as board certified, American board certified music therapists, we need to have 1,500 clinical hours. And about 750 of those need to be in, like, actually working. You can split it up, and half of it is prep time and all that kind of stuff. That you'll have to work out with whomever you're working with. But the program at SRH also requires that we do clinical internship, right? So like that's something that should be you should have an idea of where you can do that before you even start the program as well. Whether that be in a different country or in a different city than you're from or that you plan to work, doesn't really matter. You should have an idea of where you want to go, what you want to do, the population you want to work with, and maybe even 4 or 5 different opportunities, because that's generally the hardest thing for the first year, is to secure an internship. And there's a lot of good resources the SRH will offer, and a lot of people have already done it, and especially Dr. Keith, I'm sure at this point, has a whole list of who can contact whom. A lot of people have contacted me. The problem with some of the sites is that they will stop offering the program at a certain point. I know that the place that I did my internship with doesn't do internships anymore.
Okay.
So
things change.
It's an ever evolving list, and new places pop up, like your examples and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, there's that aspect of it. There's the internship. And then one thing that the American students or the people planning to work in the United States have to deal with is that there's way more internship hours that need to be completed after the program is done. So 1,500 is a lot. It's essentially 10 months of internship. If you're working 24 to 30 hours a week doing internship, that's a lot. And it's unpaid generally. I've never found one that was paid. Some people actually have to pay money to do the internship. I've heard about that before. And you're essentially working full time and not getting paid, and then having to work on the weekends. Like, I had to play gigs on the weekends to just pay my rent and buy groceries and stuff, and it was a lot. So prepare yourself to be tired and crabby.
I was teaching, I still remember at that time when I was in the US, in Boston, I was teaching piano 3 or 4 days after the internship. I was working in the nursing home from 8 to 4 or 5 o'clock. And then I used my bike really fast to students' house and teach piano after that to pay the rent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did all of this. Oh my God.
Right. Dedication, I guess. You and I are a crazy bunch.
Yeah, we're crazy people. We're doing so many international works. And let me tell you, there are more and more people want to do this as well. Not only us. We are probably the pioneer. We did this. We were the first track of English study at SRH, but there are more and more people want to do this too.
That's awesome, and I'm super happy. I think it's a wonderful city and a wonderful program. I had the best of time. I made lifelong friends, and learned a lot.
You also met your wife there, right?
I met my wife during the pandemic randomly.
It's really life-changing city.
It's been great. I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
Except for maybe some of the organizational stuff. Would have made my life a little easier. That's about it. I mean, in the end, you just gotta roll with the punches and get the things done that you need to get done. Make sure that you're not sleeping on deadlines and always having a valid visa or residence permit. That's the big one. Just making sure that your residence permit's always up to date.
Visa and resident permit, right? Not only American want to do the CBMT exam, lots of Taiwanese, lots of Asian also want to do the CBMT exam. So can you tell us more about the exam, how you prepare for it, and what's small trick, what books, or how did you study for it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So all of the stuff that we get recommended in over the course of the SRH program is relevant, right? Some of it more relevant than others. A lot of the stuff that gets taught in the United States is seen like they're big fans of Ken Bruscia. So like anything that Bruscia has written or summarized or compiled or whatever, that's the number one thing.
Okay.
Bruscia. His improvisational techniques was that was the one thing that I used the most, and the one thing that I looked through as a lens, for all of my improv stuff, were the Bruscia improv techniques, mirroring, and gosh, was there matching? I don't know.
Grounding.
Yeah, my brain is absolutely empty right now from the music therapy.
You pass the exam.
I just know my mouth, and you put in the words for me. Yeah.
It's fine. You passed the exam already. You don't need to.
Oh my gosh, my brain. No, but it's those Bruscia techniques. Those are the ones that a lot of the times when you're doing clinical writing, those are the words that you want to use even. I was using such and such technique while they were doing this, I was doing this. And another one is clinical writing. The CBMT, the people who are going to be in charge of internships are going to really scrutinize clinical writing. And that's one thing that I didn't get taught very well at SRH, which was, we brushed over it and it was good. But I did a lot more of it than we worked on. So that's one thing to take very seriously and maybe be an elective that people can do if they're thinking about the CBMT.
You mean clinical writing, you mean documentation, writing product,
yes.
Session plan.
Documentation, session planning, all of those things, summarizing, doing an analysis of the sessions that have already happened, that kind of stuff. But yes, mostly session summaries. Because after every session, you need to write a session note.
Session notes, yeah. That's something the CBMT board, they will kind of examine your session notes or your midterm, or I think at that time it was called midterm and final report, something like that. A work you need to show them. And the CBMT exam is more like a multiple choices exam, right?
Yeah, the exam is, but there's a lot of criteria you have to meet in order to just sit for the exam, right? So you have to show them all of these things. And the internship advisor will be the one who communicates that to the CBM or the board of music therapy, the certified board of music therapists. They should be the one that communicates your progress.
Yeah.
And then they will say, because you've done this and this and this, you checked all of these things off the list. Now you're invited to sit for the exam, right? So the exam is just the final boss in this whole saga of going through it all. The exam itself, I think the only way to prepare for it is to purchase a practice test.
Practice test. I also think that's really helpful to get the vibes on doing the exam,
Yeah.
to get used to the multiple choices exam.
Yeah. I think there are two different practice tests that you can, there's like example A and example B, they're both $50. If you have the money, buy them both. Do it. Like,
So
get
it's
as many
$30.
practice exam, like watch as many YouTube videos as you can about the thing, and there's tons of resources out there that teach to the exam.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff.
Like we are making one of it now.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Check us out on YouTube. YouTube fans.
So
But
funny.
like, yeah, it's there's a lot of good stuff. But the most helpful are those practice tests.
Yeah.
And the practice tests don't give you the answer, but they give you the language. And they give you the critical thinking skills in order to figure out what you think the best answer is going to be. And if the answers don't make sense to you, don't just be like, oh, well, that's the answer and move on and memorize it. Figure out why, because the answer or the question is going to be worded differently in the actual exam compared to your practice exam, right? So you don't want to just learn the question, you want to learn the concept, and you want to learn why.
That's really important, not just able to do the exam, but also learn the reasoning, the concept, the scenario, for example, what's happening in the real world.
Yeah.
Try to do the reasoning, the structure of the exam. Try to study in this way. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You want to know like the context of why these things are important is super important. And your internship advisor, so I keep coming back to that because the SRH program is awesome, but it is not specifically tailored to the different like domains of the CBMT exam. But a classmate of ours was very helpful because she had already taken it before she was in the program with us. And so she had a lot of good resources to share with me. And we sat together a few times to talk about these things. It came into focus a lot more in my internship. But the internships, as long as you do an internship in the States or you do one that is geared towards becoming CBMT certified, it should be tailored to the specific domains that they're looking for you to like kind of flesh out as a music therapist. And there's like 3 different levels, either you haven't done it, you're in the process, or you've mastered it. There's like 3 different letters. I can't remember what they are. You don't necessarily have to be like a master or have like the highest grade in every category in order to kind of pass your internship. So it's not super important that you're like a complete, that your stats are the highest in every, you're going to have things, everyone's going to have things that they're slightly better at and that they could use improvement doing, right? It's good though to not just lean into, like for me, I'm a guitar player, singer, songwriter, right? And there were like those domains, I just aced them right away. Like I didn't have to do anything extra.
Okay.
Right? So like during my internship, there was very little of me doing guitar playing singer songwriter stuff because that was something that I took care of, right? And there were all these other things. Piano's a huge one. Like if you don't play piano, you need to learn. Piano is more important than guitar, I would say. Playing piano was a big one for me. I played more piano for my internship than I did guitar.
Okay.
Because it's not my main instrument, and I'm still horrible at the piano. But I learned a lot about that instrument. I learned a lot about drumming, a lot about rhythm, a lot about how the correct way of playing softly or whatever, and matching people in their energy and all that kind of thing. But like paying attention to what, really looking inward, there's a lot of inward looking that is required in this process, and saying like, what do I need to improve in order to become a more well-rounded, not just musician, not just entertainer, or that's not what we're doing, right? In order to become a music therapist, right? And so it's kind of crazy.
It's kind of like you just use the word well-rounded. Oh my gosh, we need to be like multifunction. Sometimes I feel like we're like a fridge, or I don't know, the AC, like multifunction AC. We can do everything like well-rounded. We're supposed to learn a little bit of everything somehow.
Yeah, and it's really, really very difficult, right? Because some people excel at that, but me, I'm more of a specialist, and so I play and sing the specific genres and instruments that I do it pretty well. And being forced out of that is like, I fought against it in my head. I knew that I had to do it, and so I showed up and I did my best, but it gave me a ton of anxiety. So also be prepared to like be anxious a lot, I would say.
A lot of self-reflection and exploration in the process, from studying and doing internship and prepare for the exam. And we did all of this during Corona, before or after. And what happened now? Yeah, we did so many effort, but somehow not many of us are still practicing as a music therapist nowadays.
Yeah.
What do you think? Why is that? Why is it so tough to be a music therapist or to keep staying
That's
in
a great question.
Professions? So tough, right?
It's tough. I mean, I'm not a music therapist, right? Like I could be technically.
You pass the exam, you have a degree, you have the certification, you pass all the exam, you have all the requirements. But somehow
I am able to work as a music therapist, but my job description, if I'm going by my job description right now, if I'm identifying as my job, I'm not a music therapist. I use elements of music therapy in my teaching, working with the kids, and a lot of it. I use a lot of the skills that I learned and the things, the empathy that we've had to kind of just embody. Like a lot of those things transfer over to so many different disciplines, and I don't regret anything that I did, and I'm super happy with my course, the path that I'm walking. I think a lot of the reason why people get turned off from music therapy is that a thankless profession that doesn't compensate people very well, right? You need to be motivated and passionate about it. Otherwise, there's no such thing as a casual music therapist, really. I mean, maybe for sure, like there could be somebody out there that's just cruising through and doing their thing, but like you can't really half-ass it. One of my internship advisors said that like you cannot half-ass music therapy. You can, and I've done this before. You can show up to gigs and half-ass gigs. So excuse my language, but you can show up to events and like as a musician just kind of phone it in and be like, I don't really feel like playing this birthday party or whatever. But like as a kind of a mental health professional, it's not ethical to show up and just like kind of be half there and half somewhere else. And it demands a lot. It demands a lot of your presence. It demands a lot of your attention and energy. And it's not about us. It's not about how much we love music. And it's not about how good we are at our instruments. It's about how we can connect with our patients and with the clients. And that's really exhausting.
Okay, I can totally
I have
understand
nothing
you.
but respect for people that show up and do that every day. So
Yeah, that's why I get burned out a little bit after being a music therapist for full-time, 4 or 5 years in the psychiatry, because you need to be present there all the time and try to help people. Come on, I also need to pay my rent. I also have my own problems. It's really tough to be there and help people all the time because we are human beings. We all have our own problems in the daily lives. Yeah.
but it's really hard to compartmentalize those things for me because there's nothing telling us that those problems that we have as private citizens aren't important, right? Like me as a music therapist, like you said, I got to pay my rent. I've got to take care of my family. I've got to feed myself, keep the lights on, keep everyone happy. But like, it isn't really the focus of what we're doing. That there stays at home. It's like at a certain point as a music therapist, where do you leave that? Do you leave it at home? Do you leave it in the car? Do you leave it out front of the door before you walk into your section? Do you leave it, or if you're working in a hospital, do you leave it outside the hospital? Or do you leave it in your office? But you have to leave it somewhere. It has to stay somewhere, and it cannot come with you into your session because there's very little instances where your personal problems and issues are helpful in your session. It might be every once in a while, this connection, hey, I know what you're going through, man. I've gone through that too. It can maybe be helpful, but generally speaking, it's not. And that's a really hard thing to compartmentalize for me personally. Some people are better at doing that than others. And I personally think that anyone can be good at it, but it's like anything else. You need to practice that particular skill. And with music therapy, I don't know. It's to me, I would rather work in the capacity that I am working in right now. And so I've decided to not pursue music therapy technically any further and just kind of be super happy with all of the training that I've been given in order to make things therapeutically adjacent, if you will.
That's also really good to hear. Yeah, because like before I studied bachelor master program, my dream was just be a music therapist. And after being a music therapy for 4 or 5 years, I feel like, why did I want to be a music therapist? Why did I think that way like 10 years ago? Because it's really tough. You need to really take good care of yourself and set a boundary and have this kind of work-life balance. And especially the world now is not really in peace. I feel like it's kind of chaotic now, the world, no matter which continents you are living.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of always has been, right? Like, especially that was a weird thing during our cohort when we were all together, learning together. There was things going on in Taiwan and in Hong Kong and in the States, in these places that we're all from, and we're all hanging out together, seeing the world kind of like blow up. And I thought that was super interesting that we spent time together during that time, because a lot of people around the world didn't get that opportunity to like have those conversations with people.
It's like a small United Nations as well.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, see in that way. Okay, cool. I feel like we can deepen the conversation to very deep, very tough, but I guess we don't have time for that. And the focus of this episode is more about how to do the exam, pass the exam, because it seems like lots of people kind of want to pursue this path as well.
Yeah.
So thanks for your insight. That was like a successful story about like a music therapist. Exactly, successful.
Yeah, somehow, yeah.
Somehow we did it. No matter what we are doing now, but we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big accomplishment.
Yeah, so to summarize, I just want to wrap it up in a nutshell, like too long didn't read,
Yeah.
I would suggest, that's the word I was looking for. I would suggest that you put a link to the CBMT website and also the Music Therapy Association, United States Music Therapy Association. So for all the people from the US, I would say look into the specific region that you're from and where you plan to work, whatever. There's a music therapy association from the region. There's probably then also a music therapy association from your state. So look into all of those different places and start asking around about resources for the board certificate exam. Figure out exactly what you need to do in your state. In Minnesota, where I'm from, all you need to do is have the board certificate. There's other states where you need to do something more and actually become like a licensed music therapist. So figure out exactly what all of those things are before you really start getting into the school aspect, and ask those questions often and loudly when you're in university, and start talking with all of the other people about it and figuring out who you need to talk to, who you need to email, what kind of lists are out there as far as criteria, and like what all of the domains are that you need to learn about.
It's kind of registration and legal certification thing. I have been doing like a music therapy study abroad consultation for several years, so I got lots of questions as well. Yeah, that's why I also have an online course. It's about music therapy study abroad program, something like that. If you need it, you can also contact me or book an appointment with me online. So from the course, I listed lots of music therapy association from American or Australia or German, no matter which country. I found that association for you already, it's right there, and talk about different registration and different education approach or method around the world. That's also really interesting. Yeah, I have been doing that as well for several years. All right, thank you so much. Really nice to talk to you after graduate for 5-6 years, and also to see what people are doing now. Although we are
nice to talk to you as well.
Yeah, well trained and certified, but people may think of different career paths as well, and that's okay. It is how it is in life. Sometimes there are things you are not able to plan, but it happens. Yeah. But we also got some tips from Nate today about how to prepare, and some advice about looking for all the regulation, all the certification process. I believe that will be really helpful for us, for the people who want to pursue music therapy path as well in Germany. All right, thank you so much. Well, let's see, if we have chance, maybe we can talk more about your guitar, or maybe like English teaching for children, something like that. We can also talk about that online more, right? If we have chance, if there is a need. Let's see how people react.
If you see it for it, if there's anything. I'm hopefully more free in the next few months, but as of right now, this summertime, it's crazy busy. So I'm also organizing festivals right now.
Oh wow, cool! Where is the festival?
Right around here in Heidelberg. I have a few different locations in mind. I haven't locked anything down yet, but I'm working on putting a couple different festivals together for next summer and fall.
Cool. like a music gig?
Yeah, like multiple bands and
Okay.
all the stuff.
Cool. Yeah, we are all busy in doing different things. Well, thanks for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you, Zoe. It's very nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you again. Or maybe,
And I wish you all the best in Switzerland.
yeah, or maybe I can attend the festival as well in
Yeah,
Heidelberg.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye.
Ciao.
Tschüss.
好，那今天的分享就到这里。希望这些生活点滴的小技巧、小故事能为你的日常带来一些温暖。如果想要听到更多的故事呢，欢迎订阅频道、按赞支持，并开启小铃铛通知。让我们下次继续聊聊心事，因为每个平凡的日子都值得被好好珍惜。下次见喽！